Hello and welcome to Astrology with Laurel. I am bringing you your astrological forecast for the month of August. I'm Laurel, I'm your host, and I'm going to be talking about all the transits and the energy that will be taking place in this next month. So go ahead, pull up your own chart if you want to follow along. I've included the steps below in the show notes if you would like to look up your own chart and see where these planets are impacting you. Before we get into it, I just want to remind you that this is my personal interpretation. This is my personal opinion of the planets and what's going on. Of course, it can show up very differently for each person depending on what's going on in your natal chart. This is mostly a collective reading. I will make notes and references as to what to look for so that you can see how this energy is playing out in your life and your personal experience. And of course, if you want to know more and you want to gain greater insight or clarity on this month's astrology and how it's impacting you, you can always book a birth chart reading with me. The link is below where you can book your own reading. I offer 30-minute readings and 1-hour readings. They are at a steal of a price right now. Prices will increase in September. So snag yours while you can. And just a reminder that I have my Moon membership and individual workshops that you can join so that you can follow along with the energy. So we have a full moon in Aquarius happening on August 11th, and then we have a new moon in Virgo happening at the end of the month. So those workshops are available to you. We gather in community and we go over what's happening in the sky. Okay, let's get into it. On August 1st, we have Sun in Leo trine Jupiter in Aries. And on August 1st, we also have Mars in Taurus conjunct Uranus in Taurus. So that Sun trine Jupiter is one of the most positive transits, unless there is some other powerful negative influence happening at the same time. It generally operates under the influence of good feelings, peace, and harmony, and we're able to use this energy to accomplish something good. So there are generally good feelings today. We're able to make positive changes in our life and our routine, and our mind is eager for new experiences, and we're eager to expand our mind. With Mars conjunct Uranus, this can feel a little bit unpredictable, as we always can with Uranus when it's involved. Unexpected surprises, there's a deep desire for freedom, breaking away from structure and limitation. So we can have difficulty with authority figures. So of course, this depends on where this falls in your chart. Look to see where Taurus is in your chart to see where this energy will transpire. We have impulsive and irrational behavior. This energy can cause accidents as we tend to move pretty fast without thinking. So this can be a very careless energy. So just be mindful of that and make sure that you're not rushing into things. You're not rushing to work, anything like that, because accidents are more prone under this energy. A positive take on this transit is that it can bring new and innovative ideas to the surface, and a constructive way to use this energy would be to assert your individuality. Beginning of August, we have that Uranus square Saturn starting to move a little bit closer together. It's not going to be quite as intense as it has been these last couple of years, but it is going to feel a little bit more intense as they start to move closer together. So just a reminder that Uranus square Saturn, this is facing resistance, obstacles, and fears, tension between authority, freedom, change, societal structures, which of course we've been seeing a lot of over the last couple of years. There's this release and letting go of toxic patterns and behavior. So we're moving towards something new. It's a time for radical self-love and reinvention. Uranus likes to remind us that we do not always need to stick to what we know, that it's okay to change. And unfortunately, Saturn resists these changes, hence this tension, because Saturn likes the comfort of what feels familiar, what we know. So this is likely to present as a conflict between an old way of life and a new one. So we're in a period of transition, a period of adjustment, which can, of course, feel a little icky and uncomfortable. This is a good reminder to take it day by day, focus on the here and now, focus on what is happening right in front of you, and remembering to not put all of your energy into something that you can't control, focusing solely on what you can control. The future may feel unfamiliar and unknown, and we have no way of knowing how things will land and transform. So we might as well just go with the flow and not try to control what we can't control. So if you've been feeling like the energy of the last couple of years, that you individually feel like you can't get your life together or your act together, this is the astrological transit that is causing these tensions. We will also feel this energy pretty strongly around September and October, so just being mindful of that. But this is really a good time to break out of old habits, breaking out of what we know is comfortable but feels restrictive, and trying to make positive changes to restructure our life. So we're able to have breakthroughs and also awakenings. Like I even think we're having more of a spiritual awakening collectively with this transit. On August 4th, we have Mercury entering Virgo. This position of Mercury provides precision in speech, attention to detail, and allows us to engage, communicate, and learn using logic and practical thinking. Virgo is ruled by the planet Mercury, making this a very happy placement. We are able to analyze before coming to a conclusion. We are bringing more of a focus to our daily routine, and there is more of an eagerness to take on more work. We just have to be mindful that we're not taking on more than we can handle. Mercury in Virgo sometimes brings nervous and anxious energy, so being mindful of that. Meditation, yoga, movement, all those things are really good whenever Virgo is involved because it helps to settle our nervous system. Above all else, though, this is a pretty constructive placement that allows us to make positive changes in our daily lives and start to maybe get our routine in order. August 6th, Mars in Taurus squares Saturn in Aquarius, and this is a pretty unsettling transit. I won't lie, proceed slowly, proceed with caution. This can feel very frustrating and irritating whenever these two are involved. So you want to make sure that you're being mindful of your energy and trying not to let this energy get you down. Remembering that all feelings and experiences are transitory. Confront yourself and where you are in this moment and give yourself a moment to pause, reflect, and notice what might be holding you back or what feels blocked or what feels restricting right now. Look at who you are, where you are, and what steps you can take to move forward successfully. Remember that this can be a very easily irritable energy. We can anger easily. There's aggressive tendencies. So just be mindful of your own personal energy, what is triggering you, and how and who you are communicating with. We can also feel extremely busy with work and responsibility. It can feel very overwhelming, may have a lot of deadlines all at once, may have a lot of stuff on your plate. So just be mindful of your energy and taking rest where you can. On August 7th, we have Venus in Cancer trine Neptune in Pisces. Again, look to see where Cancer Pisces is in your chart. That's what you always want to look for when you're looking at your own chart to see where this energy will take place. This can be a pretty pleasant transit, although it's not very good for getting things done. So it's kind of that like daydreaming, escaping reality kind of energy. It is, however, extremely useful for gaining creative ideas. It also helps to cultivate feelings of tenderness and compassion for others because we're able to think outside of ourselves and listen to the needs of others. So Neptune does bring the fog, so we might not be seeing too clearly here. There can be a lot of delusion under this influence, so just being mindful of that. But Venus is our values, Neptune is our spirituality, so seeing if we can bring a little bit of that into that energy. August 8th, we have Venus in Cancer opposing Pluto in Capricorn. So this intensifies our experiences in our love life. Again, if this is happening in the houses of the 5th house or the 7th house, maybe even the 1st house, this might be more present. Look to see where Cancer and Capricorn fall in your chart. This can add intense pressure to your closest relationships. So not only romantic, just close relationships, intimate relationships. Obsessions and compulsive attractions are other possibilities that could lead to affairs. We can fall in love quite quickly, but there can be a negative power dynamic within those relationships or just toxic patterns in general. There can also be power imbalances in our relationships in general, so be mindful of this in yourself and others, because you could be the one throwing off that power imbalance just as much as it could be happening to you. Be open and honest with yourself under this transit. Be sure to communicate how you are feeling in all of your close, intimate relationships. On August 10th, we have the Sun in Leo square Uranus in Taurus. This can be somewhat of a disruptive transit, as always with dear Uranus. So our normal routine will likely be disrupted, bringing feelings of uncertainty, requires an open-mindedness and flexibility. So anytime Uranus is involved, I always say go with the flow, be open, be adaptable, and allow yourself to be a little bit flexible in your routine and in your day. So change is likely on the horizon, and this feeling of change can bring anxious feelings. Remembering that Uranus rules scientific, mechanical, and electronical devices, which means that we could experience some disruption in these areas. So think cars, think machinery, all those kinds of things. It's very much expect the unexpected. This is also a accident-prone transit, so proceed with caution and make sure that you're being mindful of that energy. August 11th, we have Venus entering Leo, the planet of love, beauty, and self-worth, moving into generous and loving Leo. This is a warm and affectionate placement, and we are generous with others in this placement. This is warm-hearted and playful. We're flirty, we're fun, and we just want to have a good time. So Leo loves admiration, affection, and recognition. So of course, we're going to see a little bit of that, wanting that, giving that. We can also see an increase in creativity and an increase in our spending, because we're more inclined to allow ourselves to enjoy life's simple pleasures. So treating ourselves to dinner, treating ourselves to the spa, going on a short trip. This could be a really good time to treat yourself or treat those you love. Look to see where Leo falls in your chart to better understand what personal themes you can expect. On August 11th, we have the full moon in Aquarius. You know me. If you know me, you know I love Aquarius energy as an Aquarius sun. So Aquarius is revolutionary. It's associated with social change and liberation. So Aquariuses are known for their innovation, creative minds. They open our world into higher frequencies of thought and progression, way beyond what we could have ever imagined. So Aquarians are the connectors, bringing people together, thinking about the collective, finding what makes each of us unique, and encouraging that we all show up with full authenticity, fully showing up as ourselves and expressing ourselves. Aquarius reminds us that our uniqueness is what makes the world so special. So Aquarius at its heart is the collective. Without the energy of Aquarius, society would not progress. So thinking about all of humanity, all consciousness, it is Aquarius energy. And Aquarius energy kind of reminds us that society likes to put us in these boxes, especially because each of us have our own experiences, our own conditioning, and our own belief system. So our perception of the world is created by these beliefs, by these conditions, and by our emotional experiences and past experiences. So we are asked to kind of step outside of what that box is and open our minds to what we aren't familiar with and what we don't know, and maybe shift our perspective and allow ourselves to learn something new. So this is the sign of the future, the sign of change. It's looking beyond what we already know. So we are asked to look at our future, and we are asked to realign with our vision for the future and making those necessary changes so that we can move forward effectively. And Aquarians are often weird. They're the outcast. They're misunderstood. It's ruled by the planet Saturn. This is creating the reality that we want. So Saturn is, of course, structure, stability, and Aquarius here is kind of reminding you that society and structure doesn't always have to be the same. We can change it. We can be innovative. We can find individual freedom among the collective. So be brave and use this opportunity to truly express who you are, and remember that everyone is deserving of love and acceptance. A quote that I love to use for the full moon in Aquarius is from Carl Jung. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Beautiful. So become who you truly are. There's no time like the present to move towards what feels right for you. On August 13th, we have Mars in Taurus, trine Pluto in Capricorn. So this is a good time to make changes in your life that will benefit you long term and change the world around you for the better. I just love that. Very stimulating energy in relation to our ambitions. We're able to uncover what you want to change in regards to yourself, in your routine, in your life, and around you. So the world around you. What changes and actions do you need to take to make the world a better place, not only for yourself, but for all of humanity? Mars is action, Pluto is transformation. It's time to birth a new you, a new world. The changes you make now will be felt long term and will lead to growth and maturity. Be mindful of your impact on the world and society. What actions are you doing, and how do your actions impact those around you? The more thought that you put into this and your personal impact, the more successful you will be if you are keeping all of humanity and collective in mind as well. On August 14th, we have the Sun in Leo opposing Saturn in Aquarius. So we're more conscious of the limitations imposed on us. So there's restriction and hardship wherever Saturn is involved. Sun is how we express ourselves. So of course, Saturn is bringing limitations and obstacles to our life force and how we fully show up and express ourselves. So this can feel very difficult and overwhelming. And we also feel consumed by the things that we cannot control. This transit can also bring feelings of loneliness and a disconnect to our communication with others. Of course, when Saturn's involved, there's that restriction, and with Aquarius there's that like misunderstood expression. So examine your reactions to obstacles and difficulties as they arise, remembering that you can either let them frustrate you and overwhelm you, or you can overcome them and find that inner fire within so that you can move forward. Remembering that with Saturn, there's always lessons involved. So finding the lessons in the obstacles and the restrictions and adopting patience, persistence, and hard work, and allowing yourself to learn from these experiences. On August 16th, we have Mercury in Virgo trine Uranus in Taurus. So this is a pretty stimulating transit. It's awakening the mind. It's making you feel more alive. Mercury is communication, it's learning, it's how we engage. And Uranus is all about collective freedom, innovation, all those fun things. So there's an excitement in the air, and we are seeking new experiences at this time. Our mind is very open to new possibilities. We can also find ourselves able to solve problems, maybe projects or problems that we had in the past. We're able to finally tackle them and establish new ideas at a more rapid pace. Our intuition is also likely strong during this time, and our conversations feel very exciting, and we're seeking individuals that stimulate our way of thinking. So you'll gain the most out of this transit with an open mind and an openness to new opportunities as they come your way. August 18th, Venus in Leo trine Jupiter in Aries. Traditionally, this is one of the best transits, but it is unfortunately short-lived. So it brings ease and a pleasant nature to our social interactions. Of course, we can see an overindulgence with that Jupiter, also a bit of a lazy nature, but it's only likely if this is how you are already. If you're not typically a lazy person, this won't really affect you. You'll also likely feel content under the influence of both of these benefics because they are a more optimistic energy. It's a good time to plan social events and outings, and it's also positive for our love life and our romantic experiences. And of course, because Venus is finances, this is also positive for our financial interests. Good day to shop, experience an activity, and take part in leisure activities, or take part in the arts, or take a vacation. It's a good transit to take advantage of. On August 20th, Mars enters Gemini. So Mars is the planet of action, desire, sexuality, war, and it's moving into the sign of communicative Gemini. So we have a strong desire to communicate and engage in intellectual activities and conversations. We also have a strong desire to learn new topics or dive deeper into topics that we've already been interested in. And you also may find that you have many topics on the go at once, which can be a little overwhelming. So it's important that when you're starting new projects, that you finish one before you begin another one. And because, of course, Gemini has a little bit of a restless energy, and it can feel a little bit all over the place because it wants to experience all of the things, and Mars just increases this, we can feel restless and like wanting to constantly be busy and doing things. So it can be hard to rest with Mars and Gemini. Mars is also fiery and associated with aggression, so we can find that we're communicating a little bit more abruptly. We ultimately lose our filter when Gemini is involved. But that being said, Gemini is also very witty and charming. So if we find that we've misstepped in our communication, we can usually flirt and charm our way out of it. On August 21st, we have Mercury and Virgo opposing Neptune and Pisces. So this can make our thinking unclear, an element of fogginess and mental confusion. For some, however, though, this can bring greater spiritual awareness. It's best to avoid permanent commitments or decisions under this influence because things seem so unclear and our perception of reality is clouded. So you may want to wait a couple days before making any major decisions, waiting for that fogginess to lift so that you can allow yourself to gain a little bit more clarity on the situation. This can also bring a great deal of miscommunication because Mercury is how we communicate, how we engage, and Neptune loves to kind of bring the fog, bring that delusion, and make things unclear. So be mindful of that. Not a great time for anything that requires disciplined thinking because our brain has that foggy energy, but it is, however, a really great time for creativity. So think art, think writing, think anything that allows your imagination to run wild and free. On August 22nd, we have the sun entering Virgo. We're entering Virgo season. I love Virgo season. Ruled by Earth, Virgo season ushers in a period of transition as we move from summer to fall. So Virgo, ruled by the Earth, it's grounding, it's stability. I love this energy of Virgo because I need the groundness of an Earth sign. This energy helps us reevaluate our life and allows us to organize our lives and establish a new routine. So Virgo season allows us to acknowledge all that we are and realize how worthy you truly are. It's a time to let go of self-doubt, perfectionism, and self-criticism. So this energy helps us embrace our authentic self and accept it with compassion. And with Virgo, there's this like strength and there's this forgiveness. So kind of like letting go of like our past selves or our past criticism. Virgo season represents an opportunity to improve. So this is our health, our habits, our daily routine. This is the sign that is related to service towards others. This energy strives to make the world a better place. This is a reminder that in order to be successful and sustainable in all that we do, that we need to first take care of ourselves. So lean into self-care practices, and that includes messy self-care. Messy self-care can be watching reality TV back to back, binging episodes. It could be ordering takeout. Don't think just bubble baths and fluffy self-care. Sometimes it means taking an Uber home when you don't feel like taking public transit because you're tired. Those are self-care practices that we need to lean into, and Virgo season is the best time to implement those practices. So ask yourself how you're feeling, reorganize, restructure your life, and establish a new routine that feels beneficial to you. On August 22nd, we have Mercury and Virgo trine Pluto in Capricorn. So we're seeking the truth and we're going beneath the surface to find answers. So Pluto is like that unearthing. It's bringing what was hidden to the surface, to reality. It's a great time to go inward and better understand your inner workings. It also might be favorable to spend some time alone under this influence because we're seeking that truth and we're really trying to like find those inner answers or like that inner knowing. It's a great transit for learning something new, and it's an opportunity for transformation through learning. It can bring a more serious tone to our conversations. Not that that's always a bad thing. Sometimes we love that. My Scorpio moon loves a good serious conversation. So it just depends on how you feel about that and where this is falling in your chart. And there can also be an element of obsessive behavior when it comes to learning a new subject or uncovering certain truths, discoveries. So just be mindful of that and seeing if you can ease up on any obsessive tendencies. On August 24th, we have Uranus and Taurus retrograding. So every year for about 5 months, Uranus enters a retrograde period. This year, it will retrograde in the sign of Taurus. Uranus is the planet of freedom, innovation. It's the planet that brings unexpected change and has a flair for the drama. When this planet stations retrograde, it calms that drama down a bit. So we are likely to experience more of an internal change rather than external change. So it's felt more inward than outward. It slows things down. It gives us a chance to reflect on our future and how we want to make those changes for the future without acting on them quite yet. Because Uranus is that kind of spontaneous, unexpected change, this gives us a chance to kind of work with that change at a more level place. So the energy of this retrograde is not extremely potent. Many of us might actually not really feel this energetic shift. Those who do have strong fixed sign placements, so this will be Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius, you might feel this energy because it's happening in a fixed sign. On August 25th, we have Mercury entering Libra. So Mercury, the planet of communication, moving into the sign of harmonious and fair Libra. We are more diplomatic in our engagements and are establishing balance in our interactions and affairs. It's a really good time for negotiations because we are able to see both sides of all situations. And the sign of the scales weighs all the options. So it takes in all perspectives, it takes in all points of views before making a decision. So that being said, we aren't so quick to make final decisions, if making any decision at all. We really take our time. On August 25th, we have the Sun in Virgo squaring Mars in Gemini. We're likely to be very conscious of ourselves and our motivations, and it can bring feelings of irritation and impatience towards the self. So this is ego conflicts taking place. So energy level can be dangerously high under this influence because Mars is that inflammation. The Sun is our energy, and it can bring this feeling of recklessness and impulsive behavior. So it will be important to constructively channel any feelings of anger and resentment and irritation in a positive way. So trying to maybe exercise because you can release any of that pent up energy, or screaming into a pillow or anything like that. But being mindful, because if we are not channeling this energy positively and we're negatively allowing ourselves to kind of get inflamed or triggered, we can find ourselves within accidents, injuries, and burnout as well. On August 26th, we have Venus square Uranus. Not usually an extremely profound transit. It can bring a focus to our romantic relationships. Healthy relationships will get by with minimal drama. They'll barely notice this even happening. It'll be relationships that already have existing problems or are already a little bit rocky. This transit will kind of bring it to the surface, and it will no longer be able to be ignored. It is, however, a good day to get anything that's been on your mind out in the open. So if there's been something that's been weighing on you and you haven't been able to vocalize it, this will be a really good day to do that. Another positive possibility with this transit is wanting to experience and try new things, which is always great. And for those who are single, a new romance is possible, but it's more likely to be brief. Unless there's other, of course, long-term transits indicated otherwise, but likely to come in fast and leave just as quickly. It's important to also be mindful of spending because Venus is our finances, Uranus is unexpected change, freedom, and it's also spontaneity. So make sure that you're not impulsively spending on things. On August 27th, we have the new moon in Virgo coming in at 4:17 a.m. And the Virgo new moon is a time to lay down your intentions for self-care. It's time to get organized, establish a routine. You might even feel called to refine or identify healthy new habits and discover maybe a new workout, a new movement routine. Virgo is like that self-sufficient sign, so it devotes to care for the earth and all beings everywhere. But we first need to take care of ourselves in order to be in service to others. The main lesson during this new moon is to learn to love yourself fully and find the balance in wanting everything to be perfect, because Virgo is that perfectionist, loves to have this idea of perfectionism, but remembering this is a great reminder that perfectionism is a myth. It's unattainable, and it only causes us grief and unrest. So releasing that idea of perfectionism, relaxing and releasing any judgment and criticism that you have on yourself. So this is a great time to examine our weaknesses or shortcomings with honesty and forgiveness. We are not perfect, and that is okay. The messy bits of ourselves is what makes us unique and what makes us wonderful. So making sure that you're taking time to heal your heart, you're taking time to relax, lean into what feels good, and not hiding yourself anymore, because sometimes we hide parts of ourselves out of fear. So allowing your gifts to be shared with the world, because they so deserve to be shared. And last but not least, on August 28th, we have Venus opposing Saturn in Aquarius. So Venus is in Leo, Saturn's in Aquarius. This is not typically warm and fuzzy, and it's not tender, and it's not favorable. So we could feel a little lonely and sad under this planetary influence. More likely to want to retreat and spend time alone, which is totally okay. Feelings of insecurity could be present. So use this day to reflect and feel what you are feeling. So all feelings and experiences are transitory. Nothing lasts forever, but we do ourselves no good by ignoring what we're feeling in the moment. So allowing yourself that time and space to really feel into it, and knowing that it won't last forever. And maybe just looking at those insecurities that you have and finding ways to look at the good and express gratitude for yourself, because Venus is our value, it's our worth, and you are worthy by simply existing. You are worthy by simply being here. So just keeping that at the forefront of your mind and knowing that this energy will not last forever. That is the month of August. Didn't end on a particularly positive note. As you can see, the energy of August is very up and down. It's kind of all over the place. It's a little bit of a roller coaster. But what I always like to say is that with any energy, there is always positive and negative aspects to this energy. And it's all about how we work with that energy. And one thing that I always have heard, and I believe my mother used to say this to me when I was younger, focus on the good and the good gets better. So try not to dwell on what's negative, trying not to get stuck in this negative loop, and remembering that life can be good, life can be sweet, as long as we let it. So leaning into those icky, messy self-care practices as we move through August, taking care of you, taking time for yourself, and making positive changes that are going to benefit you long term. Just a reminder, those new moon, full moon workshops are available to you. Moon membership is available as well. New memberships coming your way, hopefully in the fall. And I hope to see all of you soon. This is your astrological forecast for August. I am Laurel, your host, and I will catch you next week with some meditation or some yoga. Have a great month of August, everyone. Pop in below how this energy is showing up for you, anything that you want to note or bring to my attention, and any requests, of course, pop them in the chat below. Thanks for being here.